The thug shaker. Give me the thug shaker, dude.
Hey, it's me again. I have not shaved today. This is my lathe, a LeBlond Regal Roundhead 13-inch. Whether or not it's actually a 41 is up for debate. I don't really know, but that's just what I call it. I've had the pleasure to use this machine for a couple projects, but it's got some issues I'd like to deal with before I do anything else. Number one, the most pressing issue, motor don't work no more. I believe the start capacitor has fried itself, considering it's slow and has no torque now. We're in luck though, I have what I believe to be the original motor, so with a VFD, we should be back in business. The second issue is not that debilitating. The oiler is stuck in the plunged position. Now this lathe isn't in immaculate condition, but it's also not in bad condition, so I don't want to run it unoiled any longer. There's also a secret third issue, and that's this snapped off bolt. Mechanical stuff is my specialty, so let's start there first and begin by taking it apart. Oops, I forgot about the sonnet. I've been working on it lately, so it's in the way. Luckily, the carcass doesn't weigh too much. Once that's taken care of, I suppose cleaning up the place would also be responsible. With that out of the way, we can finally work on the lathe. Once we have room. And I'm pretty sure this thing weighs more than 800 pounds. This lathe is absolutely covered in grime, and I would rather not share the same fate. So, let me clean it up just a little bit. Tailstock goes bye-bye. Not sure why I had to do it first. Because the real first thing is actually going to be the old junction box. Luckily, it's only held on by 2 screws. 2 screws that have a deceptively good thread engagement. But with a little persuasion, it comes off. Although I really should have disconnected the wires first. Oh well. They're not too tricky to pull out. Next is the big switch on top. The cover is only held on by 2 screws. The cover is also bent because I crushed it with my engine crane picking this thing up. Not my finest hour. Considering the tightness and paint underneath, I doubt this has been off in a long time. I also broke this bolt trying to lift the lathe. It's happened a couple times at this point. You know, this belt and motor arrangement kind of seemed like an afterthought. I wonder if this layout is like a vestigial aspect from the earlier machines. I believe those were line drive, so I wonder what the similarities are like between the two. I haven't verified that. It's not pictured here, because it's dark, but the small pulley has a small grub screw, which is, of course, just stuck in the key slot. Yay. The key is also stuck in there, but that's where it's supposed to be. I know you also can't see the motor, but trust me, I undid all 4 bolts and did not let it fall on the floor. I would never do that. I expect to spend a lot of time in this area for this project, so quick wipe down gets rid of all the newly exposed grease. I don't feel too hot trying to drill this out, so let's just try backing it out with a punch. Oh, wow, that was easy. You know, I don't expect this kind of nonsense to work first try. I'm really glad it did. I guess I'll have to pick up another bolt though, but... Oh shit, the multimeter's still on. I can't show you my T-slot. I made that with an angle grinder. The compound slide is the next to go. Luckily, it's just 2 bolts. This thing has the most wear on the entire machine, so I'll have to take a look at those gibs later. This little clamp right here is what lets the taper attachment communicate with the lathe. I'm not really sure what the order of operations should be when taking this apart, but this slide, actually I'm not really sure what to call it, but it's heavy, so I think getting it out first is a priority. Shit. Oh well. Now, before you start hammering on this, I would take that stud out. I assumed it was a blind hole. It was not, and it was threaded in deep enough to scratch the top surface. I don't think it matters, but I mean, I'm a little bummed. Now that we've removed the 2 jam nuts on the end of the lead screw, we can pull the big casting off. It's not easy. In fact, there's 2 pins that keep it aligned properly, and those are quite precise. You have to be careful taking this mechanism off. You see, it's actually held on by the lead screw. It's probably fine, though. I don't think it'll make a difference weight-wise, but I also don't know how the oil is going to escape when I turn this thing on its side. So, better to just drain it now. This is my plan to lift it. It's actually part of the hanger for one of those roll-up air hoses. Been saving this for years because I knew it would come in clutch. I'm also not a hoarder. under any circumstances. This little thing is tricky. There's a pin in the center, and to get it out, you have to bend the screws in a way that I really don't like. Now let's get to the bottom as for why the pump doesn't work. That does mean I have to take off this top plate. It is very heavy. The check ball for the pump is still in place, so we can rule out that is missing. Well, actually, we can rule that out as not missing. Whatever. Oh, you look at that! I guess it just fixed itself. I'm not gonna question it. Oh yeah, it works. But you can tell it hasn't worked in ages. Well, I'm sure glad it works, and I definitely don't want to be inside here anytime soon. So let's clean it up a little bit before everything goes back together. Starting with the oil channels and the mating surfaces. And since I'm in a cleaning mood, well, why not just do the whole lathe? It could really use a refresh. The paint kind of hides it, but the truth is, this lathe is really gross. It's got a lot of just caked on goop that needs to be scrubbed off, and I spent several hours on this. It's not terribly interesting, so I've taken the liberty to edit most of it out. This plate, however, I find it quite interesting. And it's gross. But I'm willing to sacrifice what little paint it has left to get the dirt off. And I didn't realize just how much I would like that. Okay, that's enough. I've had my fun. But this needs to get cleaned up just a little bit, considering it's been leaking for, well, who knows how long. And because I never got a clear shot of it earlier, this is that little plug that I adjusted to fix the oiler. And then it's also time to clean the top half, because it is equally, if not more, gross. Now that most of the lathe is clean, we can finally start putting it back together. And that starts by reassembling this. I just wish it wasn't so heavy. Oh wait a minute, if I take those off, I can just set it straight down. That's convenient. Why didn't I realize that earlier? Taking these sliders off will let me set it down vertically, as opposed to trying to slide it in from the side. I'm not taking the blame for it, but the pin that held in the retaining collar for the drive shaft is just a little bit messed up, so, you know, we gotta fix that. While I was reattaching the clamps that prevented me from lifting it off the first time, I figured out that it had some weird junk stuck to it. It was like old bubble gum. Tried to scrape that off, but it didn't really budge, so let's just ignore it for now. Because I am exceptionally paranoid, I decided to take off all 4 of the way wipers so I could verify the oiling system, well, was actually oiling. Thankfully, it works just fine, which is a big relief. The compound got the least love of all the parts, but it goes on next. And it would have been the last part too if I hadn't forgotten about the taper attachment. And I mean, forgotten about it, so we're going back to square one. We gotta clean that thing too. I don't know what to call this part of it, but I'm tempted to say scales. That just feels right. Either way, it's really messed up. No amount of scrubbing was going to fix the fact that it was rust welded together. So, against my better judgment, sandpaper time. But not just any sandpaper. I'm a big fan of this, like, sandpaper cloth from Ace. I know it's kind of bougie, but, like, I like it, so leave me alone. Finally, we can reassemble this nonsense. I'm not really sure if the part that holds the scales has any sort of polarity to it, so I just put it in the way I thought it went in, and we'll see if that causes any problems. I didn't show it here, but the gibs were just as rusty and gross, so I made sure to get those scrubbed the same way the scales were. And then after that, it was just a matter of fine-tuning everything until I was happy with the movement. Not really sure how free this should be, but I like it this way, so we're going with it this way. A short test confirms that it does indeed work. Now, I would finish installing the taper attachment, specifically the driven part of it, but I have messed up the little stud that holds this plate on, and the threads are in a position where I need a lathe to fix them, and this doesn't work yet. So I will omit that for now and fix that when this thing is powered. Oh, holy crap, those are heavy. Speaking of power, it's time to prep the motor. First thing I want to do is flatten out the access hatch because it's bent. And the most important part is I want to add a threaded hole for a ground lug, because that just seems like a smart idea. Now we can fit the wires for the necessary blade connectors. Perfect! Get back in your hole. Bye-bye. That's where they belong. Excellent. Reattaching the tailstock is the exact same thing we have done like 8 times at this point, and I do not find it interesting. It's the same with this stuff too. Like, who cares? Just put it back on already. Okay, yeah, that was kind of weird. I'm not really sure how that happened, but it's fixed now, I guess. If I had to guess, that doesn't seem like it'd be suction, because I pulled on that plunger pretty hard. I want to say there's something contacting it internally, some sort of fouling that's introduced by that drain plug, or I'm not really sure what that is, because there's another drain plug. Either way, I don't care. The oiler works now. I can confidently run this thing without grinding it into dust. Now let's check out the electronics. Oh boy, we can finally move on to the electronics. And let me tell you, this is where things start to go downhill. For starters, I accidentally bought a contactor with a 220 volt coil, so all my plans for a low voltage safety circuit go out the window. Yeah, that ain't going nowhere. That looks good to me. I bought this filter back when my garage had bad power. It's since been fixed, so we don't really need it, but I guess we'll use it for terminals. Why not? I'm in a destructive mood, so let's take apart the e-stop, punch out the hole for the wires, and then finally drill those holes in the rear plate of my box. Well, shit, I was off a little bit. For my VFD, I'm using an L510-201H1U, which is an ugly little malformed freak, and it made finding a box that this thing would fit in quite difficult. Yeah, that needs a washer too. Ugh. It's always something, I swear.
Gromit! We forgot the ferrules!
I'm just kidding, they're right here. The last thing the electrical box needs is all the holes drilled. Oh yeah, plenty of room. However, I need something to mount the box to the original location. And if I'm already doing that, I might as well have it incorporate the e-stop too. I'm sure nothing will go wrong welding on top of this gas tank. It's really not my best work, but I'm sure it'll get the job done. Yeah, as you can see, it kind of messed up on that angle. But the truth is, I don't care that much. It'll be fine. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. The box has a home. Great. Now it's time to stuff it with all these wires. This is hopefully the final assembly of everything. No. 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 Okay, we're kind of interrupting things in the middle of the process, but kind of need to test it, and I want to make sure it's not going to explode. After all, there's no point in wiring our switches up if it's, done wrong. I think it's done right. But, you know me, I'm a nervous Nelly. So, I don't know, let's plug it in and see what it does. Okay, that's a good sign. What if Contactor does not appear to be contactoring. Alright, now let's try it. I almost forgot the breakers. Okay, here we go. Oh boy. Okay, it's alive. It didn't kill me when I touched it. That's good. The VFD is running. The fan is running. The power is being... Oh, perfect. And E-stop. E-stop kills the power. Well, that is a relief. And it worked. Shit. Now I'm just going to figure out how to deal with wiring those switches. I'm not looking forward to that. Because that was the old three-phase switch, and it's a three-phase switch, so it has been burned to hell. And I'd love to use it because it looks cool, but yeah, we'll see if that works out. This is that switch. It's an interesting little mechanism. It shares the same pitfalls as the rest of the lathe. It is gross and kind of broken. Okay, that appears to work, I guess. That's neat. Oh, these twist out. That's so clever. Wow. I like that. And I can replace the super worn side. Awesome. I don't need to take this piece of shit fully apart. That's great. stops working, oh well. Actually, I should choose the best ones to go in the rear. And that's definitely the front too. Because I'm just using these for logic switches. They don't need to, like, do anything, you know? They're all worn pretty evenly on this side, which I find peculiar. I just gotta clean this now because, you know, it's gross. I chose the best contacts to use for my forward and reverse selection. So now it's just a matter of wiring that back up and installing it, which is pretty easy. Well, actually, no, it wasn't. Trying to get these wires back through the tube they came out of, oh my goodness, that was horrible. I should never have taken them out to begin with, but I wanted to clean it off because it was gross, so, you know, you live and learn. Do you remember the dent I said this had? Well, I'm gonna fix it the only way I know how. We're drilling a hole in the back of this tomb right here because I want to repurpose the original calculator as the speed control dial. And of course, we are going to run that potentiometer off of a chopped up Cat 5 cable because I cannot be bothered to wire one myself. Yes, I know, I'm a disgusting slob, I know. I get really excited because I found out that this thing comes apart pretty easily. Which means, in order to use this original knob, all I'm gonna have to do is make a new one of these that will mate up to the potentiometer. Now that's gonna be a problem for once I get the lathe running, so that means we can't actually use the knob, but there's nothing stopping us from just doing that in the meantime. Yeah, it really is that easy. The problem with this one is that registration screw is just too long. So, you know, whatever. Oh, I forgot that hole was slightly too large. I will enlarge that hole momentarily. Yes, I know that won't mean it's original anymore, but I don't care. I'm not really sure why that's there, to be honest, so I'm just gonna cut that off. Fuck that. It would have been prudent to wear safety glasses, but I don't do that. So. Well, I do that. I do that all the time. I'm impatient right now. I'm sorry. Right there, potentiometer mounted. Back in the hole we go. I think there's screws broken off in every single one of these holes. Now, if only this fit directly on there, my day would be I would be ecstatic. But if we go to tighten the adjustment screw, you'll notice that it doesn't do anything because it doesn't, whatever. Yeah, it does nothing. Because it's just ever so too tall. Oh well. Until we get it fixed, we're gonna have to do one of these. It's not the prettiest thing, but it, oh, this needs adjusting. Okay, I will do that. I'll do that later. Who gives a shit? I got better stuff to do tonight. I'm kind of done, actually. Well, that's exciting. I think that's everything we need to do before we can run this thing. The only thing left to do is program the VFD, and I have no idea how to do that, especially with this ancient motor. And it's been ages since I've looked at the, plate for it anyway, so I should probably get a picture of that and then feed it into my favorite LLM and, get some recommendations for conservative motor settings. So let's look at it right side up. Yeah, that'd be preferable. Wait a minute. What does that say? Right there. That part. Oh, no. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. It's a 440 volt motor, and I have built a 220 volt system. God damn it. I feel so stupid right now. Could this system run a 440 volt motor? Probably. It wouldn't like it. And we're already making concessions by, running it conservatively because it's an older motor and it doesn't like modern VFDs. I'm not doing double concessions. I'm not cutting my performance in half and then in half again. So we're kind of dead in the water right now. And I think this project is going to be indefinitely on hold until I get the proper motor. It's all ready to go once we do get that motor. So I know what you're thinking, and I'm actually going to beat you to it. Yes, I know it's leaking. I'm well aware it's leaking. I will deal with that once we put the final batch of oil in here. Now, if I had to guess what you're thinking, it's probably why not try the OG motor. Well, it's single phase, so I don't want it. And the starter capacitor was blown, remember? So, unlike the 440 volt, which is just a dual frequency motor, this one's actually a dual voltage motor. So we could convert it to 220. I don't think it'd run any better. I think it'd still be broken. So I'm just not going to entertain that as an option. So here are our options. We find another shitty old motor on Facebook Marketplace for like, I don't know, 50, 75 bucks. Well, then we're dealing with another shitty old motor. And I don't want another shitty old motor because, I think the responsible choice was to buy a new modern one and not have to worry about VFD inverter compatibility. One small problem, to find a motor that I want, I don't know, it'd be about 3-phase, 220 volt, what else do I want? Oh yeah, what do these things have, like 5/8 shafts? Either way, the motor comes out to be $200 minimum, and I don't really have $200 at the moment. I just spent $200 putting a new battery in the Miata, so the evil smog guy could steal even more of my money. Oh yeah, and I did buy a new toy, so I kind of went double over budget. Yeah, we'll deal with that later. Like I said before, I guess we're just gonna kick everything underneath of it, and we'll deal with it later. Actually, I guess we should button it up before we go. Good enough. Oh, that's the new toy. We'll deal with that later. Don't worry about it. In the meantime, peace.